Hello and welcome to another episode of the DewatchPod podcast. I am Jorgen Smorgasbord.
And I am Jim with a G.
And today we have watched Bête Noire, the second episode of season 7, because we of course have watched all the other Black Mirror seasons in reverse order, and then Charlie Brooker had the unfortunate decision to release this season after we already started recording the other seasons.
Which will happen again. Season 8 has already been, contracted, so,
That's good. Probably.
We could have waited for Season 8, I suppose.
We didn't know about Season 8 when we started.
I think we might have.
And, we have...
Content warnings!
That's right.
Hit it!
Well, let's
Okay.
yes know this episode first.
Okay, yeah. Mild, yes.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I mean, we'll get into it. When I was just discussing with Jorgen, we finally hit upon, a genuine weak point of mine. I hate the vibes of this episode, but, in a way that is very intentional.
Let's get into the vibes, and by that I mean content warnings of this episode.
Vibe warnings, you might say. Hit it, Jorgen.
Suicide.
Gore.
Loss of grasp on reality.
Bullying.
Sexual abuse of children.
And we're done.
Yeah, we're definitely not gonna have to edit that in post.
Exactly, as we
Isn't
never
that
have to.
right, editing Jorgen? Oh, what's that? I hear nothing.
I guess we're free. So what's Bête Noire about?
So Bête Noire is about, is it Mary?
Maria.
Maria is a chocolatier for a company called Dida, and she's really good at her job. She's invented the miso jam chocolate bar. And then a new person started her job who she knows from high school, and she's like, I didn't like her vibes back then. And we will later discover why that is. And basically, things start getting odd.
Yeah, I think we can speed through, the first 2-3 days at least.
Basically, weird things start happening where, she doesn't remember things the way they were.
It's very pure, they mention it by name, it's very pure Mandela effect.
Yeah,
because, I'm 90% certain this is how this is. And everyone is like, no, and she's proven wrong every single time.
Yeah, and proven wrong. There's surveillance footage.
There's Googles.
There's Googles of a fast food chain, and so on and so forth. Fun Black Mirror fact here.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to undermine you, Jürgen. No, but there's so we read on the Wikipedia actually that's the first big trigger we get for something's messy here, something's Mandela-ing here, is that someone goes yeah, I used to go to this Barney's chicken restaurant, and she goes, it's Bernie's, and it turns out this is swapped depending on your user ID or something like that.
Yeah.
So for some people, she will experience as Bernie's, and for some she will experience as Barney's, which is a cute little detail.
Though this one is also a bit interesting because it's the only one that's not directly attacking her.
Yes, but it is also put up in a way that she takes a principled stance on it because her boyfriend worked at one of these, and we get to see earlier in the episode him wearing a hat that says, in our case at least, burn is on. Yeah. But it's also the kind of thing where okay, the camera does focus on it. But,
it is front and center in 1.5 shots.
Yeah, but at least for representing us inattentive people out there, you could be forgiven for being I don't remember which one it was.
I sort of did, because I was we're being shown this hat really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, things come to a head when the new hire, who's been sort of at the heart of a lot of these, who's the old classmate, is hey, do you hate me? Do you have a problem with me? I had a really hard time in school. And they have a little bit of a fairly earnest heart-to-heart. And then the new hire walks up to the fridge and chugs someone else's almond milk. Just straightforwardly just goes for it.
And I drops it on the floor while there's still almond milk in there. And this has been noted earlier in the episode that hey, someone keeps fucking with my almond milk, which is the only one I can drink. And Yeah, it's set up in a way that, like, these two are the only ones who are not in a meeting. Everyone comes out, and...
Yeah, so they end up accusing each other. And this is sort of where the sort of initial, like, a break point in the episode happens. Because Maria's like, this is... Let's watch the footage, motherfucker. And the footage is, in fact, her chugging the almond milk.
Yeah.
Upon which she says, which is like the episode really, really doubling down on the unreality of this. That's impossible. I have a nut allergy.
At which point the new hire goes, no such thing as a nut allergy. And someone immediately goes, what's a nut allergy? Or something like that.
Yeah. And at this point, the episode has sort of jumped the shark of like, something eerie is going on.
Yeah.
Towards, oh no, this is like very overt now.
Yeah, I think this is the first time where, like, we, even if you had doubts before, like, this is the one where we go, like, okay, like, there's nothing. No, because previously, the other incidents, I think you could genuinely be like, maybe I misremembered what it said on the
Well,
hat.
we were being shown, like, her, like, clicking the autocorrect on, like, a thing that she then never sent, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, like, there is, like...
There's a chance that she could have
Yeah.
just sent, like, because I got the vibes that this was not going to be that kind of episode, but I could have seen it being like a,
Yeah.
no, nothing's weird going on. She's just having a mental breakdown.
Yeah. And the way Maria sort of interprets this is that, like, oh, yeah, there's some computer fuckery going on here. We were currently at this point, on the thesis that, oh, yeah, it's a simulation.
Yeah.
And anyway, she gets fired over the almond milk incident, which, like, she loses her mind over.
Specifically, she gets fired for, like...
Attacking.
Yeah, like, rushing at Verity.
Which also, very fair. The old student school person is called Verity Green.
Yes.
Which, that's a name, I guess.
And then it becomes a very compressed heist for a moment, where she waits in the parking lot, and we're kind of like, is she just gonna kill Verity?
Yeah.
But no, it's just stalking. She runs into this walled compound and manages to break through.
Well, it's a mansion.
It's a I guess it's like a...
Yeah, it's like a sort of villa?
I guess.
I think names for nice houses are very slightly different between languages.
Yeah. No, that's probably fair. Either way, it has, like, I guess it's not literally walled, but it has, like, a security gate. It has, like, big hedges, and clearly some sort of security dogs. But despite all of that, she punches out a window and jumps in.
On the second try, because we're still going for a bit of realism.
It's still quite impressive. But yeah. Like, and she walks past these, like, computer terminals. There's very loud, I want to say punk-ish music, while Verity has taking a shower.
You were paying more attention to the music than me.
I kind of like the music. I don't think it's supposed to be good. I think it's supposed to mark her as like, oh, she's a weird girl, but, like, I like the music.
Well,
but yeah, like, she infiltrates, and she, like, at this point, yeah, I guess we should mention one thing. Like, during the almond milk incident, Maria basically goes like, it's something with your pendant. Like, you say weird shit, you fondle your pendant, and then weird shit happens.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh shit, I found the pendant. But we also, like, I parsed this not to brag. I parsed this immediately from, like, the visual language of the pendant, that it has, like, a fingerprint sensor. Though it isn't actually that, I think. Anyway.
No, I think it is. Doesn't she mention she needs... maybe you, Mandela, affected me.
It doesn't matter. It's locked to Verity. And Verity's like, huh, that's crazy. And it's like, you can come out from hiding under my bed now.
Yeah,
and...
like, I think Maria just straight up whimpers, so just like, come on, girl.
Well, she does have the pendant at this point, though. But at this point, we get the awkward reveal that, like, Verity has a fuck ton of pendants. Though, this is actually needlessly zooming in on this. But, like, why would you have a fuck ton of pendants, but then not give them different designs? That's the first reason why you would have multiple pendants. So you can have one to go, like, with your varied forms of dress or whatever.
No, absolutely not. Like, you have more pendants because, like, you might just drop one under a couch or something.
Yeah, but, you know, you might as... If you have...
You might as well, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem integral.
I just think it's, like, an extremely obvious thing to do with those kinds of resources. Anyhow.
I think this is just where we go through, like, because, like, there's a moment where Maria goes, I have your pendant. Yeah, like, remember, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't care. I have a bunch of them. And she goes, the remotes to my quantum computing installation downstairs.
Yeah, that does the reality fucking stuff. I don't think this is a point of debate. This is just not an episode that is interested in sci-fi. So we can just brush past this.
Like, I was theorizing earlier in the episode that, like, I wondered if this was like a Red Mirror, which is the fantasy name for Black Mirror, like, episode, because it might as well be, but not important. And, you know, like, this, I guess, is where we get, quote-unquote, the reveal. Because we've had some, like, Maria's talked about, like, oh, she's had bad vibes about Verity, and it turns out that in high school, she was kind of, like, ostracized. She had a nice relationship, platonic relationship, at least we're led to believe, with one of the teachers who, like, let her use the computer lab and stuff. And apparently, some people spread the rumor that, like, oh yeah, like, they're...
Yeah, and specifically one other girl from school really, really made this rumor stick. And as Maria investigates during the episode, that girl has killed herself. In fact, in the first scene, we get the radio news of that happening. Yeah. And turns out...
Maria started it.
Maria was the first one who, like, said this. And she says, like, it was a joke. I'm sorry. Kids are cruel. Isn't it crazy? And, like, you know, a bit more contrition could go some way.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's one of those things where she's not wrong, but...
Yeah, when you're kids are cool. Brackets, I'm kids.
Yeah. She's not wrong, but in the situation she's in, you could probably skip the part where you try to justify yourself and more go for the I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not... that might not work either.
No, until this point she has tried to, like, hide it, because Verity, like, has been trying to figure it out. And... that's also what she tortured the other student over into suicide.
Yeah.
And
specifically, like, to make this explicit, this whole, like, computing setup is to... I think the explanation they give is that it shifts into parallel timelines because... Or, like, universes, which there are an infinity of, and she can just pick one by going... Oh, it wasn't me who did the almond milk thing, it was her.
Yeah.
Click on the pendant, just to make that, like, 100% clear.
Yeah. And, yeah, Maria is like, yeah, it was me. You got me.
Yeah.
Not in that tone of voice, I guess.
Yeah, like, it's interesting, because we have... Like, looking back here, I think the scene in the kitchen before the almond milk incident is a lot better as a result of this revelation, right? Because they have a genuine heart-to-heart, but Maria is still lying, and she knows she's lying in there. And that's why Verity does the almond milk incident, I guess, even more directly, at least.
And at this point, Maria's like, well... you're trying to get... well, Verity goes, like, at this point, very like, oh, yeah, no, I'm going to, like, drive you to suicide.
Yeah, and Maria goes, like, can't you just, like, live a fulfilling life? And she went, I did that already. It sucked.
Well, no, she goes, I've had every fulfilling life, now I'm bored, and I really want revenge. That's the one thing I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And Maria's like, okay, I'm going to fight you now. And, like, she's got fury in her. She just lunges at Verity and, like, bashes her head, like, against the ground. And, like, she's got her on the rope for, like, a solid couple seconds. But then Verity's like, the police are armed and outside, and I've got the pendant, and, I'm shifting reality to make this look like you attacked me.
With a knife. The most lethal British weapon.
Yeah. Well, and Verity specifies, like, yeah, you know, it's the armed police who are outside. And, we have, like, a solid, like, 8 seconds of Maria going, like, just getting the like grim zoom on her, and going like, "Ah man, I guess I'm fucked," and
she just pulls a gun out of one of the police officer's holsters and blasts Verity.
just like perfect shot, no time to aim, like
It's remarkable.
yeah, no, just really like
I
1 in 100 at tops.
I'd have to rewatch to make sure, because I don't think this is the case, but I think it'd be interesting, like as this unfolds and Verity's just like, oh, there's police, you're trying to kill me with a knife appears in her hand. Like, I would want her to say something like, she's dangerous, and that's what gives her the ability to just like fucking quick draw headshot. I think that would be a fun detail. I don't think it happens, it's not important, but I just like, if I was making it, that would be like a fun big thing to add. Yeah. But yeah, and then like she's dead. There's a short shootout with the police, which which like fair enough. I like, even if you're police who have been suddenly summoned from the ether here, like you're probably a bit like, holy shit. And then she managed to grab the pendant with Verity's finger on the trigger and going, the pendant now works for me, to the police. She shot herself, you all saw it, and the best immediately timed line in the entire episode is the police officer just going, I know. Like, with no hesitation after she finishes her sentence.
And we have a like immediate escalation of her going from like, I need to manipulate the police into still not getting me by going like, anyway, you work for me. And then just like in like 1 or 2 steps going, and I'm the Empress of the Universe.
Which is an idea she steals from Verity.
Yeah. And then that's the episode.
That's the episode, yeah.
We do get just like a big zoom out on her being the Empress of the Universe, surrounded by adoring crowds, chanting her name like a god king's.
Yeah, like it's very Stargate at the end, I feel like. Yeah. I have not watched a lot of Stargate, but this is like
I haven't watched any.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a fun little flourish at the end. But that's the episode, and we were discussing it a little bit, but like the 2 main hooks of this, right, are on one hand Bandersnatch, and on the other, actually, there's a lot of like thematic similarity to USS Callister. Now, early on, I genuinely just thought this was going to be USS Callister kind of again, with some straight changes to the execution. Like, I genuinely thought that the idea was that like, oh, like the first day they meet, that's reality. And at some point during that day, Verity gets like 1 DNA sample and she gets put in the USS Callister simulation machine. Not actually what happens, so I'm glad they buried it.
We haven't done any sequels yet.
Not yet, but they're fast approaching on the horizon.
Yeah, like, odds are we've got one up next. But we'll figure that out later. I'm trying to parse this episode, and like my immediate read is like, this is basically, this is a genre episode, right? We complain about genre episodes. This is a genre episode.
I don't think we complain that much about genre episodes. I think we're moderately positive about them.
No, they're a waste of our time.
Okay.
We've said so.
Well, yeah, but we've also said they're kind of enjoyable.
But some of them, but a lot of them really aren't.
Also true. I was thinking about this because even though the base mechanic is slightly different, I still think this resonates most with me as a retelling of USS Callister. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily a compliment. Like, apart from my general hang-ups about like Cassandra truths and people losing their minds being the only one who see reality, something about that affects me real bad in the moment. Like, it makes me cringe. Ugh. But I do think the like storytelling here is pretty good. In like a moment-to-moment basis. And I think it also flags itself as a genre episode by the fact that like each day starts with like a title screen, chocolate being poured in the background, and like loud scare chords.
Like, yeah, theatrical, like a whole like orchestra going like, this is terrifying. And
like, I have to commend them for that honesty, right? Because like something like Playtest, you start with like, oh, this could be a commentary on like a gig work, and then it's like, no, it's actually just like a fucked up thing, dude.
Yeah, and like I I'm not that big a horror watcher myself, right? I kind of have an affinity for it, but I also find it really scary.
Did you find this episode really scary there, Jorgen?
Well, it's it's a tough one to evaluate, right? Because like in the beginning, like sure, we get like the like, oh yeah, no, someone has killed herself. That's clearly a flag
Yeah.
that's a Chekhov's gun.
It's literally the first thing that happens in the episode.
So like, but like everything is normal for like a third, maybe half of the episode, and we're like, spent like a good amount of time in the like, is Maria losing her mind or not space.
Yeah.
And the only thing that is like definitely like flagging like something is coming down the pipe is like cinematic cues, like the insane horns in the like title screens for the days.
Yeah, like I think cinematographically, like if you at base, I think it has a lot of good foreshadowing. Like just because we didn't mention it, but Verity comes in not as like a job applicant, but she comes in as a taste tester, and like everyone at first like tastes the stuff and goes, "This is terrible," and then Verity goes, "No, it's pretty good if you try it twice," and then everyone is like, "Yeah, you're right." And like I think we both kind of flagged at this point, like, okay, this is relevant directly or just setting the theme, but it's something about perceptions and memories and the like. And I think it's quite good at setting that up.
Yeah.
What I will say is, like, to me, if I'm throwing out the broad net here of like analysis, it's the points here remind me so much of USS Callister, because the villain, like the main villain doing the horrible things, is a nerd.
Yeah.
A nerd who has found a way to control some form of reality and uses that to inflict revenge, very petty revenge, and like self-aggrandizement as well.
Yeah.
I think there, and I know I say this a lot, I think there's an interesting gender component here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually like something that I would find more interesting to analyze than the base case here. Because if you look at USS Callister, what it's about is like a man who seems meek in reality and then turns out to be like privately domineering and cruel.
Yep.
This woman is also clearly, to an extent, domineering and cruel, but her torture is not like sexually abusing her underlings or like physically abusing them. It is mentally doing so by cry bullying, right? Like she's very explicitly like, I'm just a little fella and it's my birthday and she's accusing me of having drunk the almond milk.
Yeah, but she does also just like have moments where she just like does the like, I know exactly what I'm doing stare at Maria.
Yes, absolutely. Like I think this is, to me, this is genuinely quite interesting in an online discourse sense, because I think she is very well aware of her using her I'm just a meek white woman, I'm dainty, I'm a bit willowy, I'm a bit socially awkward, and thus if you ever criticize me, you're the one at fault.
Yeah, though she does also have the power of the pendant on her side.
Yeah.
So her ability to do this really is like multiplied many times.
For sure, but I think if we strip away like the shallower mechanics, if you will, like there are multiple scenes where she's not using her pendant and she's still getting people on her side, right? And I don't know. I think that's kind of an interesting twist on the formula. And like I think one of the few times where I want to say that like it feels like the gender of it all is kind of used in an interesting way.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking of this as a genre episode, I think one of the very interesting things to me is the part where the horror comes around to going, anyway, this is how the horror works, right? Because the first section is like, oh yeah, we're doing cinematography, we're using the tools of cinema, and we're going like, hey, something's weird, but you don't know what, isn't that spooky? And it works, and it's good. And then we reach the point where the episode has to decide whether it wants to be a horror-focused episode or whether it wants to resolve, right? because like horror is quite anathema to resolution in the like proper sense, I would say.
I don't think necessarily, but I see what you're getting at.
It's a lot harder, right? Because if you just go like, anyway, it's Final Destination, and it's like, oh, are they getting away or not? You know, where it doesn't super care about the mechanics, and it's just like, you have this like creeping sense of something approaching.
Like, I think if we're structuring this as a horror thing, right? Like, the moment she just goes like, oh, I built a super cool computer, and I can like, hello, podcat, I built a super cool computer, and that's how I control timelines. You go like, okay, fair enough, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's a mad scientist story, right? It's I built an electricity conductor to make my army of zombies, and you go, sure, okay, why not?
She does at one point like mention that she had mad scientist hair in school.
That's true, actually, yeah.
Which is very funny.
Well, it's really set up, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, what it essentially is doing, right, is where you get to the final part of, like, I don't know, a vampire story, and someone goes, over there is the Holy Grail, and if we hold it up above our heads and recite the Bible, the vampires will be repelled and destroyed. That's essentially what, like, explaining what the pendant does, right? It's giving the, like, here's the key to defeat the monster.
Yeah.
And that's functional. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I was kind of surprised that they actually went with her getting out of it, because like a lot of this episode had the markings of like just pure bleak Black Mirror, and then she ends with her being Empress of the Universe, which is kind of bleak in its own way, but that's a more of like a inferred Holocaust sort of situation.
That's a bit of a reach, I think. Like my read on this essentially is that it's like, it is a genre episode, but it is trying to do more, right? Because it's about power, and how power it's not complicated. It is absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And the way it does this is going like, here is someone evil. This is the first step she took when she was reaching absolute power. And then Maria, like, speed runs to, yes, first step to get absolute power upon, like, within, like, 10 seconds. And I think that's sort of what we're being given, and that's what they're doing, like, what they're choosing over a more, like, eerie horror resolution.
Yeah, they're definitely not interested in resolving it via horror.
Yeah.
But what I wonder is, like, I don't know how much there's to this episode, and like I hate saying it because I think it's genuinely quite a competently made episode, but it reminds me of USS Callister just in the sense of like, okay, base idea, just because you were a bullied nerd in high school does not make you a good person.
Yeah.
In fact, that trauma, if not handled properly, can certainly lead to you becoming quite a bad person. And you go like, yeah, okay, this has been heard before. Like, we live in an age of tech bros who are like,
see, this is what I'm thinking. This episode is like at least tangentially about Elon Musk.
Yeah, no, I thought about that as well.
And I think you have on the one hand the bullied nerd who like receives like massive power through, and in this case it is just straight up her being a computer genius. In Elon Musk's case, it's because he hit the lottery jackpot twice. Or 3 times, I guess, if you count his birth.
Yeah.
And who goes like, I was bullied. That means I'm morally defensible. And I'm always right. And I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Now, to be fair, I think that is an interesting comparison, but because I'm pretty sure Elon Musk was bullied, in quotation marks, because he was a bully.
No idea, honestly.
I believe that is kind of part of it.
Maybe. But yeah, no, like, it doesn't really change the mythos, right? And
yeah, no, absolutely.
You have this figure who's like, I'm going to use this power for myself. And I
think it's both that, but it's also just like, I think, to an extent, I wonder how much of this episode wants to comment on the idea of, like, power crystallizing your innate narcissism. Because listen, like what she went through, like, because to be clear, like this whole thing about people saying she had a sexual relationship with a teacher clearly pursued her for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have had stuff like that happen to them in high school. Like, I'm sorry that's the case,
Yeah.
but most people do not go out for revenge. Like, I was bullied, not in high school, but like previously, and like, you know, it wasn't fun, but also like it doesn't have to be the centerpiece of anyone's life experience. The way I think it kind of becomes when you have decided on your own mythos as this persecuted genius, and thus you want to go back and, I don't know, like, mete out justice in very big quotation marks.
Yeah. And I think there's, like, even more parallels to, like, this sort of, like, tech founder, evil billionaire thing, right? Because we have, like, Maria goes, like, wouldn't you want to just, like, have a nice time now that you have infinite power? And she goes, been there, done that. It didn't stick. Revenge time. And I think that is, like, extremely targeted at, like, say, Jeff Bezos, who, like, he could be doing anything, and he's, like, busy buying the Washington Post and telling them to write about how capitalism is, like, super cool, right? Like, that's... You don't need to do that.
Yeah, like, I mean, it strikes me as, like, a lot of these, you know, like, they don't bring it up in this episode, obviously, but, like, these levels of, like, neuroses and grudges, like, you have to make an active effort to actually resolve them within yourself. And, like, I think an interesting point of this episode is that she does say, like, oh, revenge is the most satisfying thing, but she's done, like, one revenge. She's in the middle of pursuing her revenge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know this is the stereotype of, like, revenge stories, but, like, it doesn't strike me that, like, after she's done killing our protagonist, that, like, her life will be better.
Yeah.
But obviously right now she has a purpose. And I don't know, I think it's, like, a bit of an interesting thing, because clearly tech billionaires are not happy.
No.
Like, Elon Musk is an extreme example of this, but I think, like, most of them seem to be that way. Like,
yeah.
Like, they're weird, and, like, weird in, like, a very creeping, unnerving way.
Yeah, they all have brain damage from everyone around them treating them like a god.
They could make something good out of the resources they have and, like, the corporations they control, and they choose not to because they'd rather be weird.
Yeah, and I think another element that very much flows into this is something else like that the episode also does, which is, like, the reality shifting to accommodate a person's whatever nonsense, right? Like, she just pushes a button and makes nut allergies not be a thing.
Yeah.
And, first of all, someone should do that.
That would be pretty sick, yeah.
Though, if it's just shifting realities, like, okay, let's... Being a technical nerd for a second, like, she's just leaving behind all those other realities. Those are just, like...
Yeah.
There. So, like, it's a very weird multiverse story that's very selective in who it follows,
like,
right?
I guess the idea is that, like, it's only her and Maria who maintain their consciousness as they jump between
Yeah,
lines.
but, like, there's just, like, another Verity who just, like, gets her brains caved in. Like, in a reality that he just, like, barely escapes.
Yeah.
Like, it's very... Anyway,
I do think
nitpick.
I do think the cover story is not the brilliant part of this episode, to put it very mildly.
No, but I'm nitpicking. This doesn't matter. The episode doesn't care, and neither should we, because it's not given any depth. But, like, this is my less favorite Knives Out film, Glass Onions. Like, goes for this. It is another film that is straightforwardly about Elon Musk, right? At some point, Benoit Blanc yells, "The reality distortion field ends here," because in that, like, period, that was how people were talking about, like, Elon Musk's inability to, like, encounter any consequences for his flagrantly illegal, often highly immoral, and very openly disregardful of general norms actions, which seems to now actually be coming down a bit. But, like, then it absolutely wasn't, and the worst was yet to come. And what this episode is doing is just like presenting us a person with like the like buttonized version of like the world around bending to your will, because in Elon Musk's case you have too much money to be a part of the world, and in Verity's case because she has the button, right? And that is like, so we have like this idea of someone who has absurd power like crystallized in some like extremely like applicable ways. And what we do with it is going like, first of all, you can just shoot that person. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that is just something the episode goes, no, she has at no point figured out how to not like get a bullet shield or something.
Yeah, no, there are multiple times where you just kind of go like, yeah, someone like her car could have been rammed like when she was being pursued. Like maybe the point where Maria just like jumps on her, she just like fucking bites her throat out or something. Like there's no point where Verity actually has like a way to get out of that.
And like I'm focusing on this a little bit because like I feel like this is the story like bending a bit to be a stronger analogy, because like, yes, in our world these people are just like flesh and blood. In Bête Noire, that doesn't have to be the case, and they're like, no, they're flesh and blood. She's flesh and blood. You can shoot her in the head with a gun.
And it works.
And it works flawlessly.
Yeah, I think this is I had an interpretation during this episode of like, you could talk about this being about fake news as a concept. And I don't like that interpretation, because I think fundamentally what this is about that sort of like reality distortion field, as per Glass Onion, like the idea of like billionaires or tech geniuses, by nature of where they are, we have to backtrack to believe that meritocracy is real. So, and I think I brought this up outside of the podcast recently, when Musk and Zuckerberg were feuding and people were claiming they had like 160 IQ, and like, if you've ever worked with IQ or read about it, like, you know that's not true. Like we're talking about I'm bad with the statistics, but I want to say like 160 IQ is maybe like 0.01% of the population. And the idea that like, oh, someone like that just happened to be born into a person who had an emerald mine in South Africa. Like,
I do not believe it for a second about Elon Musk. I reckon like Mark Zuckerberg has like whatever, a brain that at least at some point was extremely good at code for a bit.
Yeah, like they have Zuckerberg more so than Musk, certainly.
Yeah, I think Musk is straightforwardly just a guy whose like personality defects have like jumbled him into incredible wealth. I think he's just like extremely average.
I think so too. Maybe like a few points above average, but that's just kind of like, if you're rich and you've been educated, you are going to be a few points above average. Yeah. Point being, like, yeah, like they might, like someone like Zuckerberg may genuinely be very intelligent at coding. That's not all IQ is. And
No.
And 160 is so far beyond, like, you know, I think someone like Richard Feynman have been stated to have an IQ of like 123. And he's like one of the most brilliant physicists we've ever known. Like, this worship of IQ that you just kind of go like, I reckon Elon Musk must have 300 million IQ. Like, you know, like, I just like, nah, dude, that's not how any of this works. But like, it's one of those things that like, I don't think like Elon Musk sat down and was like, hey, I forget who published this, but like, hey, BBC, I'm gonna bribe you to tell people I have 180 IQ. Like, I think it's just something that happened, because that's like a media narrative. Like, it's a narrative that the media is happy to buy into. Because why not? Like,
because it helps the world make sense. Because if Elon Musk is a super genius, that it makes sense that he has all that money.
Yeah, it must prove meritocracy backwards. And, like, if you've observed Musk, like, apart from just his genuine personality defects and, like, complete lack of a spine and skin, like, he's very obviously not that intelligent.
He's not that intelligent, he's not that talented. Like, he is, like, a worse person than the average person off the street on, like, every conceivable aspect.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think it's very telling that like these people haven't really done IQ tests, because like if they have 160 would, like, I don't think I'd have to go back because it's been a while since I worked with it, but I don't think that like regular IQ tests go up to above 150.
No, I think they're capped at like 150.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, like it's just one of those things that like, you know, for one reason, yes, you have to like re-legitimize the system you live in, because it's hard to just be like, nah, man, it just kind of sucks that way. People are just kind of born into the positions they are. But also like it's you spin a narrative that helps sell stuff. Like if Elon Musk is a hyper genius, you can sell like, oh, we had an interview with hyper genius Elon Musk where he talks about coding, and everyone who can code goes, what? But I think it's interesting because in comparison, Verity is clearly intelligent at computers, because she makes a computer that warps reality.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make her. I think she has some social intelligence, like she's emotionally manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Simultaneously, she's been like around the block. She could just, I guess, reality warp herself to be that way. But at no point does she use that supposed intelligence to be like, maybe I should be a bit paranoid about the people I torture trying to kill me.
Yeah. No.
And it strikes me as like a genuine, quite good representation of like people who are really good at one thing are not good at everything. Like,
yeah.
Like that's just one of those things that I don't think we will ever fully come to terms with that being reality. Like, you know, people ask like chess masters their opinions on international politics.
Or physicists about COVID.
Yeah.
Or physicists about international politics. Or biologists about social problems.
There's a lot of that, and like I think this is genuinely a topic Black Mirror could go into further. But I'm going to be honest, with everything we talked about for the last 10 minutes, I think we're being too generous to the episode. I think it hints, I think it's doing the Black Mirror thing, where it vaguely hints at this, but we are looking at a Black Mirror episode that gives us a centimeter, and we go, we can kind of see the mile.
Yeah. There's definitely some of that happening.
Yeah.
I do want to, sticking with this charitable interpretation a bit further though, mm-hmm. I want to go to the last point where the episode goes, anyway, she's got the pendant now, and she is fucking speed running the same shit that Verity was doing. And I
do think that, like, I just want to highlight this scene for a moment, that, like, she starts with, like, I'm innocent, and then she goes, you work for me, and then like immediately goes, you worship me, and then she's like, oh well, off to be Empress of the Universe. And I'm just like, oh, this is a good progression.
Yeah, you know, people, it is generally underappreciated how little ability the human mind has to conceptualize exponential growth. You know? Yeah. Especially in ambition. And like, sticking with the charitable interpretation for a second, what does that mean?
I mean, I think, like, you can make a very obvious comparison just to the idea that, like, there's no amount of money these people will suck out of human beings before they're satisfied, right? Like, I think that's quite a simple one. But I think specifically the idea that, like, Maria immediately goes, like, yeah, I'm gonna be Space Empress, Empress of the Universe. It harkens back to me to 15 million merits. Like, it's I think it's a commentary on the system, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, now, we don't know if Maria's going to do anything actively malevolent with this, right? Being Space Empress of the Universe, maybe that's not a legitimate position in terms of political science.
Maybe it's like a representative
Maybe
Empress.
She's a ceremonial monarch. Point being, like if we just buy it on the surface as this is a representation of having power immediately going, yeah, I want more power.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of what the episode wants us to have. I don't know, like it strikes me back as the idea of like she's suffered under this tool and she does not hesitate. And the first step is very obvious, like she wants to ensure her survival.
Yeah.
Completely fair enough. But after that, she does not hesitate to have these people work for her, worship her, Empress of the Universe.
Yep.
And I don't know, like I think this is a slight return to the idea of like why systems are this way. Like why do we have these like hero cults of tech billionaires and the hierarchies they create and like the torture they inflict? And what happens when someone gets the gun on Elon Musk and Klingon promotions themselves and goes, yeah,
Sorry.
I can do this.
Sorry, that's just a very funny concept.
It's sadly not how reality works. I think it would be more tolerable if like the techno feudal elite was ruled by, you know, Mongol practices. You really got the wrong timeline on that one. But genuinely, I think that's kind of part of it, is the idea that like inevitably when someone has the power to reshape or reform a broken system, they will at the very least be tempted to just be like, but what if I was in power instead?
Yeah.
And I think that's relevant to current politics, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I am sort of torn on this because I think absolute power corrupting absolutely is like a bit trite.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like framed in this way where it's like, well, you know, she's a bit of an Elon figure. Like I think most people, like if you place them in the position of Elon Musk, would do a far better job. But
Yeah.
I guess the implication that like the the complete inability to experience any pushback from anyone, right? The ability to become the only entity with agency that's left, in a very functional sense, that's probably a stronger argument that will just like turn you evil like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think like one of the core parts here just is like, because she could have wished for anything, right?
Yeah.
She could have just wished like, I want my boyfriend and me to have a great life. I want to be promoted at my company. I want for everyone to listen to my ideas. She goes straight for Empress of the Universe. Specifically, I want to say, in order to give us the implication that like she's also going to go similarly mad with this power. What I think is an interesting comparison, though, is that we have no implication, apart from Verity herself, that Maria has anyone she's gonna like infinite torture, right?
Yeah.
Like and that could just be an economical choice. But the point is like if we're looking at this as Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone Klingon promotioned their way past Elon Musk, if they weren't like a white nationalist, it could still be an upgrade. And I guess that's kind of what we're getting here. It's just like, yeah, Maria's also gonna go mad with power, but at least she doesn't have any immediate, like, revenge or torture plans. That's better.
Well, I think what I'm sort of, like, taking away from this is that, like, and, like, we do get, like, a brief tour of Verity's apartment, and we do get to see that, like, she has done it all. She's been an astronaut, she's been the Empress, and so on and so forth, right? And it took her a while to become, like, jaded and go, like, alright, I've got nothing left to do, and the only thing, like, that hasn't been sandpapered away from my, like, personhood, by the complete lack of any friction in my life, is my worst aspects. And we are not given a Chekhov's gun to think of what Maria's worst aspects are, but we are just sort of like left to be like, well, there will be some like slight niggle in the back of her mind that will be the only thing that like just pure hedonism can't sand away.
You know what I think it's gonna be? You know, there's a point where she ends up feeding the owner of the company, Mr. Dida, who is a practicing Hindu, beef tallow gelatin. And she's gonna go back and she's gonna be like, he's a Muslim now, so it's good. It's the other one that I didn't think it was, because she goes like, I think he doesn't eat pork, or is it the other one? I think that's what she's gonna do with it. But yeah, genuinely, I don't know. Like,
she's just gonna switch Muslim and Hindu food restrictions.
Oh, that's even better. Like genuinely, for all we can do our thing here on this beautiful podcast, I don't think this episode says that much. I think some of what we've talked about is true, but I think like it's the radius of what we've talked about is a lot larger than the radius of what the episode has talked about. And that's fine. Like, it's an okay episode.
It's a genre episode. We hate genre episodes. Well, I hate genre episodes. You tolerate them begrudgingly. And it's a good genre episode. Like, rating on a very, very biased scale.
Yeah.
Grading on a curve, rather. Like, it is a lot. It's the best genre episode, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is there another one? Because, like, okay, Metalhead, no. Playtest, no.
Rachel, Jack, and Ashley, Crocodile, like, none of them, like, this stands out to me because, like, for a genre episode, it has a fuck ton to say, right? And it's far murkier than, like, say, last week's episode, which had things to say on purpose directly and into the camera. And this one's like working, sort of via analogy and just as much focused on being genre as it is focused on saying something. But like it's still focused on saying something.
Yeah, like I think that's really the big upgrade here. Like that makes this feel actually like at least somewhat meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Like I do think it cribs a bit too much from USS Callister in its structure of its villain and such, but I'm okay with it. And like I because genuinely like Playtest, Crocodile, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2, like okay, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2 is probably genuinely the closest one of these that gets to saying something, but they stop saying something about 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Macy Day, I guess, is another one.
I don't know what genre Macy Day is.
Werewolf horror.
I don't know. We can't go down this road.
Alright, fair enough. But yeah, genuinely, like, I think the addition of actually wanting to talk about something is... It makes it so remarkably better. Because I think, okay, like, I don't think I properly reflected on which the genre episodes were, and I'm starting to come to the conclusion that, yeah, like, they're all bad. This one is, like, I think it's, like, a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
And, like, oh yeah, this is the second episode where I've accidentally given it a number rating. I should stop doing that.
Well, 6 out of 10 isn't a number, it's a vibe. Other numbers aren't vibes.
That's fair. But, like, genuinely, like, it's competent. I think, genuinely, the base storytelling of this episode is good.
Yeah.
Like, to the point of us who are obsessively, like, already thinking about analyzing this episode as we're watching it, like, the moment in that taste scene where, like, she essentially convinces everyone to be like, no, this terrible donut or, like, a chocolate bar or whatever is actually good. Like, that's a good hint.
Though also, like, I didn't realize this until looking back that, no, the chocolate bar sucks.
Yeah.
Everyone goes like, ooh, and then they have to be reality shifted to going like, no, I'm coming around to it.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what that says about our protagonist, and I don't think it's intentional, so I'm going to move on now.
I mean, like, so genuinely, like, if I'm gonna dip my toes very... Listen, I'm autistic. I have a sense for this level of detail. There's a point where she meets Mr. Dida, and he goes like, "Oh, the famous one who invented the chili flakes. It's not called a Dida bar. I forget."
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not as autistic as her father was.
It might be Bête Noire. That might be the Bête Noire.
No, they call it something else. But yeah, like basically, she is famous for being like in the company to some extent for being good at her job.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is just like she shot in the dark with the miso thing, and it doesn't work. Until it gets reality shifted. So I don't think it says much about our protagonist so much as
maybe she's just like the sort of like upper tier, like weird chocolate that you need like a fucked up palate, but you will really appreciate it if you have a fucked up palate.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, this is staying too long on something small.
Fair enough, but like yeah, I think it doesn't say so much about her. I think it's an early hint towards
exactly.
And I think a little bit it's just meant to be like she's trying to sneak her way in by being nice at first.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know. That's about me on this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad it's doing something. I'm unhappy we got another genre episode. Like after last week's episode, I like sat down and reflected on season 6 a bit, and like feel like there is an upwards trend, but it's like it's not that much of an upwards trend from season 5 to season 6.
Not
Like I
yet.
think I really overstated that in my mind now. On the other hand, we've gotten a genre episode, and it's a good genre episode compared, but it's still like not a great episode. And I do.
It's an amazing. I will say, like, if I'm gonna try to keep some optimism up, if this is the worst, this will be a good season.
If this is, if the episode is, or sorry, if the season is to other season, what this episode is to other genre episodes, we're good.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to flag, because it does genuinely like lose a bit as a genre episode by like leaning into having a thing more, because like compare this to playtest. Playtest like sticks to its guns all the way through.
Yes.
This is like does have a little bit of twist sickness, and I'm not sure I super like it. Because like it does sort of it does the opposite of like Rachel, Jack, and Ashley, where it starts genre and then like abandons that to some degree, right? So we are still like seeing the tension between doing like authentic genre and saying something. In this case, it's resolved in the direction that we care about more, but like if you're someone who, for God knows what reason, watches Black Mirror for the genre episode, you might be like, I know, I'm a bit of a horror head, and it's really sort of not attending to my interests as much. And I do think that is worth flagging.
Yeah, I will say, I think if you're into it for the genre episodes, I don't know, I think you have more tolerance for twists than perhaps we do. I actually think like the last 15 minutes, I think it ends up being, well, like after the what's a metallurgy scene, like I don't know, like the twists they're not horrible. I think it's fine,
but I do think it undermines the genre power.
Yeah. Now, shall we go on to my newly introduced segment of reviews? Where do you, dear Jorgen, think this like generally places within the Black Mirror canon?
I think people fucking loved it.
Okay. So, I pulled up IMDb. It has an unweighted mean of 7.1, which is not that high for Black Mirror, but it's certainly not that low. And it has a fairly Gaussian distribution around 7, weighted upwards. So I do think a lot of people... This is going to be one of the most condescending things I will say in this podcast. A lot of people believe that having a twist that makes a base amount of sense equals a good episode. And I think that's kind of what's happening here.
I do think that having a twist that makes a base amount of sense does place you in the good part of Black Mirror.
It helps. But I think some people are like, whoa, yeah.
I think a lot of people are also grading on a curve.
Well, speaking of grading on a curve, generally positive reviews. This one, looking at episode rankings by like critics, genuinely seems mid-leaning lower, actually. So we have the 12th best, and this is out of 34 episodes, sorry, two different things. Out of 34 episodes, the best like tier list point was 12, and the worst was 28th. So it's got a decent amount of range, but leaning on the lower end, which is like...
Also, just for the record, literally grading on a curve?
Yes, exactly. But it's interesting because like there's so many trash episodes of Black Mirror, and this one is fine. So I'm a little surprised. Like there's a 112, 113, and then the rest are below the midpoint of Black Mirror episodes. And I'm a bit surprised. I actually think I would be kinder on this episode than the critic ratings.
Yeah.
Like, it's at least like a full story. It tells a story. It says some stuff on top of that. And the twist is set up. Like, this is a lot more than you can expect from a lot of Black Mirror. And, like, I'm sorry to say that, but, like, I don't know, it hitting those 3 points, that puts it at least above average to me.
Yeah. I mean, I am not that surprised that critics went less for it than, like, regular viewers, because I do think regular viewers, like, will be more, like, impressed by the twist, while critics will be more deterred by the genre stuff.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that.
So, yeah, no, this broadly checks out to me, though. I think I would have expected people to like it a bit more, I suppose.
Yeah, but it seems to be all right.
Yeah. Do we have any other insights we can glean?
I don't think so.
All right.
Like, there's one point about it being the 10th least pessimistic episode of the show, which is a very mid rating. So, like, I don't think there's much.
I don't think that's true at all.
I think
that's misreading the twist. I think that's misreading the ending.
In what direction? Do you think it's more or less pessimistic?
I think the episode is somewhat dark about human nature, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong given the particular, like, constraints it sets up. But, like, you know, her becoming Empress of the Universe is her literally, obviously following in the footsteps of the villain.
Yeah. Also, just, like, I feel like at this point, if you're doing a sci-fi show and someone declares themselves an emperor or empress, that alone should be enough to see the vibe of what the episode is trying to suggest on the good-evil scale of that action.
I think of political positions that podcast can take, I think the one, like, we can occupy the most, like, without requiring any discussion is anti-monarchism.
Anti-space monarchism in particular.
I mean, both.
Listen, there's some very funny monarchies in Earth history, like, I'll allow them.
I guess I miscalculated. Someone's got a little bit of monarchy brain on the pod.
Listen, I don't think it's good, but entertaining? Certainly.
Sure. But yeah, what do we have coming up next week?
Hotel Reverie.
Is it a sequel?
No, it's not.
We're 2 episodes in.
We're 2 episodes in, would be the 3rd one. And we're no sequels. So, like, and there's 6 episodes in total. So the latter half of this season is going to be 67% sequels, which is worrying.
You can't just say 2/3.
Yeah, but I like percentages. I always hated fractions.
You're rounding.
I know I'm rounding, but I prefer percentages. I always hated fractions in school.
A percentage is a fraction.
Let's not get into that, okay? Now, I noticed something about Hotel Reverie that sets off slight alarm bells. It is 78 minutes long.
Oh, and it's the 3rd episode of the season, you say?
Oh my god, yeah, it really does sync up, doesn't it?
We're in for something.
I'm not going to continue looking at this Wikipedia page. I am keeping the hope alive.
Listen, we called season 6 a step up, and it had Beyond the Sea.
It did have Beyond the Sea, and as soul-crushing as that experience was, we cannot assume it will be like that again.
I mean, listen, we've had 2 out of 2 episodes for season 7 so far, saying something.
Yeah, one is genuinely good, one is pretty okay. Like,
yeah, no, and they both say something. We are winning fully on the we want episodes to say something train.
That's true. And yeah, okay, let's keep the optimism up. Let's keep the hope up.
Don't say it quite so enervatedly.
Let's keep the hope up, gang!
That's right. See you on the other side. See you next week for Hotel Reverie.
See you next week.